continuous mental noise that we call thinking, being trapped in there and being dragged along by every thought that arises. The only existence what we call future has is as a thought in your head. Beyond that, there's no such thing as future. If there were such a thing as future, somebody, some great explorer, would have found it. And we would have a monument. He discovered the future. So far, it hasn't happened, and it's not likely to happen. You can, if you were a police inspector and you were looking for a criminal called time, a very dangerous criminal, because he goes around murdering people all the time and killing off everything. First deceiving them that time is going to get them where they want to get to, and then after this criminal has deceived them, he or she kills them. Everybody's hoping to get to the future. And of course, the very essence of future is, in the end, it kills you. The time kills you. Everybody's hoping for more time to fulfill themselves. And then time gets you. So the police inspector, looking for the criminal called time, can only find secondary evidence. Yeah, he's been here. There's a dead body. It's fine. And it's beautiful to hold this glass, the shimmering water, see the aliveness of it. Well, of course, if you're in the thinking mind, you don't see it. It's a glass of water. What are you talking about? If you're trapped in the thinking mind, you inhabit a conceptual universe that is dead. Because everything you label, and you have concepts for everything, and that's a glass of water, there's nothing miraculous about this. No, because you have never really looked. You've never really experienced it, neither when you're swimming, nor when you're in the shower, nor when you're drinking it. You've never actually truly experienced water, because mind, thinking, was always interfering and creating a phantom conceptual universe that most people are completely trapped in. So they don't experience the aliveness of the universe around them. One could say they are not present, they are not where they are, and they are not total in what they do, because every doing is a means to some end. If I stop telling the self-talk, if the self-talk that upholds my identity comes to an end, who am I? Carry on talking. What do you think of this talk? Well, I think he's got a few points there, but on the other hand, I don't... I read another book last week. It said the opposite of what he said, so I have to try to let you work that out. He says there's no time, but I absolutely disagree with that. Or even worse, it's all a load of rubbish, or garbage in America. Everything is labeled the moment it arises. The little mind commenting on everybody you meet, and immediately it has something to say about the other person. And usually what it has to say has something to do with me and my story, and how this other person might fit into my story, or doesn't fit into my story, or could make my story more interesting, or is threatening my story. Oh, I don't like him. And of course, there's no meeting. You never meet the other person. You're meeting your own mind structures, your mind forms, and you think you're meeting somebody else. And in that state, many people get married. Okay, it's time to get a divorce lawyer. That was a big mistake. Now let's look for somebody else. Oh, that's a beautiful flower. And now let me think about what he did to me yesterday and what he said and what I'm going to do to him tomorrow. Oh. I thought there were lots of problems, but there isn't actually a problem. That's an amazing realization. There is no problem. And then the old machine in the head goes, what do you mean there's no problem? You better start thinking about your problems. You're not going to solve your problems by just sitting there. Simply directing attention at this situation or person. So the person may be coming at you and saying, you did that with the other, I'll always never forget what you did 10 years ago. And then 3 years ago you said that, and I've been thinking about it ever since. Not a reactive force. The reactive force would say when the difficult person comes and says, what you did to me, what do you mean I did to you? Do you remember what you did? Or will shout something back or whatever. That's the normal way. The life of the universe, every individual life is like a tiny flicker of chip. There goes your whole life story. From the perspective of the universe, all the things that I'm so worried about and all the important things. A flash. And billions of other flashes. The universe is experiencing itself in form. It wants that. It wants to experience itself in billions of life forms, but it's all one totality of experience. And you are one cell in that totality. And immediately you love him for it, for not judging you. And in a sense, recognizing you, because the dog has so much love, you just need to look at the dog, the tail starts wagging. Joy, the joy of life, just incredible. And the humans, they probably had it 10, 20,000 years ago, before the thinking stage started. The joy every moment of being alive, the playfulness. That's why it's so liberating to be with animals. Oh. But of course, no, we are not going back to the stage of a dog. That is beautiful for the dog. That's not for us. We are stepping beyond or rising above thinking. That's what presence is. In mythology, through the figure of the fool. In many ancient mythology, there is this figure of the fool who is a simpleton, and yet the fool is entrusted with tasks by the intelligence of the universe with that more so-called intelligent or developed humans could not do. You have it in The Lord of the Rings, for example, as a more recent mythological tale, where the Hobbit, a very simple person, all the others around the Hobbit are more intelligent, but only he can do that, perform that task. The universe uses the fool to perform this all-important task because the fool is more aligned with the totality. And of course, the same thing in Forrest Gump, the film. Again, you have the so-called the simpleton, and always the universe supports him. And there's no ego, there's never claiming it, I did that, I achieved that. The fool hasn't arrived at the ego stage yet. Normal humans, they are full of ego, full of mind, full of me, and so they are blocked. The universal consciousness finds it hard to use them. And then you go where we are going, beyond thought, where again you have the connectedness and the universe supports you. It becomes, you experience life as not antagonistic anymore, but as helpful. Things happen, and then you don't need to do that much anymore. That's the amazing thing. It just, things happen, the movement, and you go with the movement.